bedtime.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for watching the Barre Beat podcast, streamed live to 802 Scoop, filmed right here in the Inside Scoop Studios, Main Street, Barre, Vermont. Tonight, we're pretty excited. We have one of the best people in Barre City, the one, the only, the gem of gems, the amazing
Talking about you.
Carol Dawes. And of course, we got Liam.
Right.
We got Liam.
Exactly.
Carol, how are you doing?
I'm Ducky. How about
Ducky?
you?
You know what? I saw you, and I started to smile. Can't help myself.
Well, and to be out at 8 o'clock at night, there aren't many people I would do that for, Michael.
I know, and I appreciate
yes.
it. We won't go too long tonight. How about that?
Sounds good.
We'll try to get through real quick, and then we'll start talking about government shutdowns. Are you excited?
Well, I don't know about that. I could tell you stories about how it's impacting on the local level. So.
We'd love that.
Oh, okay. So did you guys hear that? Because now, Carol, I wasn't going to keep you for that, but now I am. Now I am. But no, I mean, how's things been going?
Crazy busy.
Crazy busy.
Ridiculously busy. Yeah, I'm working full time.
Full-time?
Multiple places. Yeah.
Wait a minute. How many? Didn't you retire?
It didn't stick.
They missed you.
Yeah.
I hear that a lot about people retiring. It doesn't stick.
Yeah. Well, and my intention was never to completely retire, My intention was to be in Montpelier, but that didn't work, so,
There's always next year.
Never again. Never again. You want some slightly used lawn signs? I've got a whole bunch of them. Since last November, I've been working part-time for the town of Berlin as a financial advisor, helping their treasurer and assistant treasurer, who are both relatively new, kind of get their feet under them. I've been working with them on finalizing their FEMA stuff from 23 and 24, been helping them get their audits ready. We just finished their 24 audit a month ago. So I've been working there, was there all day today. And I've continued right along as the tax increment finance administrator for the city of Barre, which I've done for the past 10 years.
Well, you're commonly known as the tax increment finance queen, right?
Something like that.
Isn't that the...
Something like that. And then Barre City separated the clerk and treasurer positions a year ago with a charter change, and that went into effect the 1st of July. And so I came back as the part-time appointed treasurer starting the 1st of July. So I'm doing that. I'm doing the TIF. I'm doing Berlin. I'm staying busy.
Busy.
So, yes.
I will be very honest. I love TIFs. So I do apologize to folks that are listening. Carol and I, talking about TIFs, we're going to geek out.
That's why we gave you the whole hour, Michael.
We're serving up the Kool-Aid.
We're serving up the Kool-Aid of the TIFs. I'm like big on the TIFs. I was a huge supporter of the project-specific TIFs in the state legislature because I saw how it worked here.
Yep.
And it's just done a phenomenal job.
Yep.
And do you want to explain how? Well, so let's give some context. So Carol's going to talk about the 2 bond votes for the city.
Yep.
And one of the bond votes is regarding TIF, tax increment financing. Do you want to explain to people what that is? Maybe?
Yeah, tax increment financing is an economic development tool. And I'm a huge believer in finding ways to encourage private development because it benefits all of us. It grows our grand lists, which keeps our tax rates down, which gives, brings in more employment opportunities. This particular project would bring in more housing opportunities, which helps employers bring new employees in, whether it's the hospital or the schools or whomever. It puts more kids in the schools, which actually makes the schools more economic, more cost effective. So the way the program works, TIF works, is that the municipality, the city, does infrastructure work. That's usually water, sewer, stormwater, sidewalks, parking, streetscape, stuff like that, that will support a private development project. And if the city didn't do the infrastructure work, the private development wouldn't be able to happen because it wouldn't pencil out. They wouldn't be able to afford to do what was necessary. And so within the TIF district, and the TIF district in Barre City is the immediate downtown, when we have a building, either a new building goes up or an old building gets retrofitted and is now worth more money, the increase in taxes between what was the baseline and the new value, 75% of that money, both the municipal tax side and the education tax side, gets set aside to pay the debt service on whatever bond the municipality had to take out to pay for the infrastructure work. So essentially, we bond for infrastructure improvements, and the bond is not paid by the general population, the general taxes. It's paid out of the new taxes from the buildings that were improved within the district.
And that's really important to know, because it's never free money, right? Like, we know that it's not free money,
Right.
but it's money that's being paid and helped pay for through not just Barre City, but the entire state, because it taps into the education portion. And I mean, think of a development here. Do you remember what the grand list value was for City Place originally?
I don't. I can tell you because I've been working on some informational material for this upcoming bond vote. If you go to the city website, there is a page for that's got all kinds of information about both this bond and the Public Works Garage bond. And I was pulling together information about our TIF. And our TIF has been in existence since 2013. And in those 12 years, the value of the property within our TIF district has gone up 25%,
Nice.
which is pretty substantial.
Yeah.
And that includes, the City Place building, which is brand new. It includes retrofitting the Blanchard block. It includes building the Summer Street housing complex. And then things that happened anyway in the district add to that value. The new Jiffy Mart Dunkin' Donuts building, the new community bank, all of those different improvements add to the value in the district. And one of the really important things to understand, you talked about it's not free money, is that nothing goes backwards.
Right.
Nobody goes backwards. We start with a baseline value of all the properties. And that baseline, we continue to collect the taxes on that baseline. And then if they get improved, we get a 25% bump from the improvement, and then the other 75% goes into this fund to pay the debt service. So the city makes more money, the education fund makes more money, and we get to set money aside to pay for the infrastructure improvements. So it's really a win-win-win.
Yeah. And just for example, the City Place building, my guess is the assessed value was probably bringing in maybe $20,000 in taxes.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I believe that it was, the assessed value was something around $900,000 to $1 million
So
for
about
the
20.
three parcels that were merged
Yeah.
together to create that. It's now on the books for $8 million.
Right, which is, I mean, I think 900,000 is probably somewhere around $20,000 to $30,000, I would say.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and now it's assessed, the value, the money that's bringing in taxes is $297,000 annually. Granted, that is broken up between education and the municipal, but that is a huge increase, and that was done through development that the city helped. And it would not be there if we hadn't done that. We had to do brownfields, we had to do a bunch of crap. It was just awful, you know, that side of it. But it's a beautiful building now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a huge economic benefit for people that are living in the municipality.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's a way to capitalize on potential growth. And yeah, so is the Article 1's the TIF, right?
Yes. Yep. So Article 1 on the ballot. So Barre City is going to the polls on November 4. So that's
Which I got the day off, so I'm going to be there all day. Are you going to be there?
probably not, or I'll be there part of the day. But so it's Article 1 on the ballot. There are 3 different things that are being voted on that day. The city has 2 articles, and then the Central Vermont Career Center has a ballot for an article. For Barre City, Article 1 is the TIF. It's $2.4 million to do infrastructure improvements that include hazardous materials mitigation, stormwater, wastewater, burying utilities, water, sidewalks. We're going to be doing streetscape improvements. We're going to be improving the Campbell parking lot, which is behind Northfield Savings Bank, that area there. We're going to be repaving streets in that area. So that's what the $2.4 million will be that the city puts into it. And then Downstreet Housing is building a 31-unit apartment complex. It's in it's just right now it's a vacant lot. It's a city-owned parking lot. We conducted census counts on the use of the parking lot because we wanted to make sure we weren't taking away parking that is vital to the city, but we determined that there's enough other parking in that area that by putting a building on that lot, we're perfectly fine. We're adding desperately needed housing to the downtown. When you look at the housing that has been lost in Barre City because of the flooding in 23 and 24, this is adding housing to the downtown. So it's a huge benefit to the community. The interesting thing is when the TIF district started back in 2013, housing wasn't the need. The need back then was parking because we had the need to support the redevelopment of the Blanchard Block, the development of City Place, and they were bringing in hundreds of employees and we were going to need parking. But one of the nice things about a TIF district is even though we developed a plan and had it adopted by the state back in 2012 and then it went live in 2013, we have the opportunity through the program to look at what we have done and how things have changed. So we spent the last year developing a request to go to the state to say, you know what? Between COVID, between flooding, between changes in people's work habits, we don't need the kind of parking. We don't need to focus on the kind of parking that we have in the past. The need now is housing. It's not just Barre, it's a statewide need for housing. So we asked for permission to shift from parking to housing. with the TIF district focus. And we were granted that permission and then able to move forward with this project.
And can you explain the capacity, the TIF capacity portion of it? Because even myself, I mean, I know what it is, but I'm still a little fuzzy here and there. Because there's capacity for funds that are available for us, and that's what we're tapping into.
When a community builds a TIF plan, it's all speculative. We think we're going to see this kind of private growth over the next 10 years. We think we're going to need to develop these kinds of municipal projects to support the private development. And you build a financing plan based on those projections. And the projections tell you, well, if this and this happens, we're going to generate about this much money in increment, that increase in taxes, that 75%. And once we know what that number is, once we project what that number is, we can then do the math backwards. How much bonding capacity does that number give us? And the original projections for Barre City gave us $6 to $7 million of bonding capacity to do different infrastructure projects in support of private development. We started with a $2.2 million bond that was approved by the voters back in 2013. And that was focused on parking. It made improvements to the Keith Avenue lot. It created the Pearl Street Pedway. It made improvements to the Campbell Place lot, to the Enterprise Alley area. And it actually allowed us, in addition to having the $2.2 million bond, we were able to leverage about $4 million in grant money. So we took that $2.2 million and actually made it $6 million in improvements. So, and
hold up. We can't.
sorry.
Hold up. Wait.
Here's the fire hose.
Yeah, I mean, let's just back up just for a minute. So not only is the TIF, really cool for development and a financing structure, the municipality, Barre City, took that money and leveraged it for an additional $4 million. I think you need to say that again, because that is really important. And it's also the reason why I'm super excited about TIF and I get really geeky about it. And everybody that's watching is cringing. But it's true. I love the TIFs.
And those kinds of opportunities are not only available to the municipality doing the public infrastructure work, it's also available to the private developers. Downstreet has opportunities to tap into funding resources that help them cover the costs associated with building housing. So whether it's new market tax credits or other kinds of things like that. So there are opportunities on both sides to leverage the available funds and take whatever amount of money we're putting in and multiply it.
And since we're talking about this, I just pulled it up because I don't have any. Unfortunately, I don't have any really cool graphics. It's not on the website to show what the municipality is going to do, but
yeah, that's because we're burying utility lines and putting in water and sewer. There's nothing really exciting about that.
But you know what is exciting? I have a picture from Downstreet, who is the partner. And by the way, Downstreet is an absolute amazing landlord. I can get into trouble about the whole taxing part of things, but I'm not going to go down that route. And they do a phenomenal job. And what's really awesome about this project is that it's going to be, it's going to increase. We're going to get way more out of this project than what we're currently getting out of a vacant lot.
Well, a vacant lot, municipal lots, which don't generate any taxes at all.
Right.
So everything is going to be increment.
Right. So, and that's huge for us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's huge. And let me show folks the building, because
And there should be among the various exhibits that are available on the website, there should be like an overview schematic of that shows the lot with what's being proposed for changes to the parking lot and to the new green spaces and stuff like that. If they're not posted, I will make sure tomorrow that it gets posted.
I
so.
appreciate that, because they are not on the website. I could not find them easily
Okay.
anyway. But if you post
And
them,
the FAQs are going up tomorrow too. So
if you want to, if you're willing to, do like a JPEG of, you don't even have to, you just send me the PDF. I'll make the JPEG myself.
Yep.
And we'll post it on 802 Scoop. And if you want to do a write-up, we'll do that as well. We got your back. So I do want to show folks what the building's going to look like according to downstreet.org. Stevens-branch-project.
Yep.
I'll drop the link for folks to take a look. Not now, because you're watching Barre Beat. But this is the building. And it looks pretty cool. There's like a little breezeway that you can drive through.
well, if you think about that area, people who know Barre City, this is the parking area that is behind what used to be Key Bank. I can't remember the name of the credit union that it is now. The Federal Credit Union? I can't remember.
I
But
have no clue.
there's a parking lot between there and the Green Church, the Presbyterian Church. That parking lot is the building that this is going into. And if you think about it, there is an entryway there that feeds into the Northfield Savings Bank drive-through. So part of the plan had to include maintaining that access because, of course, everybody wants to be good neighbors.
Right.
We want to make sure that they could. So that was part of the plan, was to put that. It's actually an entry through the building to get to the drive-through.
So we're showing it right
Yes,
here. So this is where that breezeway is going to be, correct?
Yep.
Yep. And that way people can access the driveway and go in and
Yep.
go to the other parking lots,
Yep.
and that'll.
The other thing is, of course, that area of the city has been prone to flooding in the past, and so this building is built to be flood resilient. The ground floor is not apartments. It is storage for the apartment people. There will be parking in the back of the building, and then there's also some meeting space for the tenants to have some sort of community space.
So I know because I'm trying to remember. I don't think it flooded too bad last year, though.
No, it's not.
Or not last year, the 23rd flood.
Yeah.
Or 2023 flood.
Yeah, yeah. It's not bad, but it can flood in that area. So we had to, Downstreet had to make sure it was built in such a way that it could be flood resilient. So
Yeah, right. Well, all buildings, and that's one of the other benefits when we do new development, is that they're all built for flood resiliency.
Yep.
It's part of the code. It has to happen. A lot of people always like, well, why are you building in a flood zone? Because we're lifting it up out of the flood zone. So yeah, no, I think it's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
And the being able to utilize TIF to make this happen, it is a blessing. It is absolutely a blessing for Barre, 100%. And I'm not sure. Are you really familiar with the clientele that like the affordable housing?
I don't know the criteria, what percentage that the people have to meet with regards to household income to be considered affordable to qualify for affordable housing. So unfortunately, I can't answer that question. So
I will say, and a lot of people always, when you hear affordable housing, people think of, trouble spots, and I have to emphasize again, it's Down Street. Down Street does a phenomenal job with their landlord tenant situation.
Yep.
They take care of business. They maintain their properties well. I don't personally hear police issues with Summer Street or any of their properties.
and their newest one being the Ward 5 school.
Yep.
So.
And that was a beautiful building.
Yep.
You know me, though. I appreciate them doing that. Again, the whole money issue. But that's neither here nor there. That's not going to be a problem for this. So, yeah, that's really awesome. So, vote yes on Article 1.
I'm not
You
allowed to
can't
say that. We actually have
Carol's
postcards
not
that
allowed
are.
to say that, but Michael Booten can.
What I can do is I can say to people, get out and vote.
Yes.
So, November 4th, up at the auditorium, polls will be open from 7 to 7, or you can swing by the clerk's office now, during business hours, and vote in the clerk's office, or give them a call and they'll mail you a ballot. Ballots have gone out in the mail to everybody who voted absentee at the May annual meeting. And I do want to just make sure that people understand that the Career Center ballots went out in a separate mailing, and then the city ballot went in another mailing. So if you get 2 envelopes in the mail that look like they're the same thing and you're thinking, I've already gotten one, don't throw the second one away. They are 2 separate ballots.
No, they're color
The ballots
difference.
are different colors, but the
well.
envelopes look the same.
Yeah.
They do say in the upper corner, they do say that one's the city ballot and one's the Career Center ballot. So.
And if you get your ballot and you don't go, actually, we're starting to get close to where it's better to bring it in. So,
Well, you can
Right.
you
Well,
can
we're
mail
getting
it,
close.
but to really be sure that that the city has got it, you've got a couple options. You can swing by the clerk's office during business hours and drop it off, but there are also 2 drop boxes at City Hall. One is to the right of the front door, facing City Hall Park, and you can put it in there. Then there's also a drop box immediately behind City Hall. It looks like a mailbox and it says ballots all over it, so that's a drop box too. You can also bring your ballot directly to the polls on the 4th and just drop it off and leave. You don't have to, wait in line or anything. So.
or if you want to vote there, you can bring your ballot there. Please bring your ballot to the voting booth, because if you don't, you just have to sign an affidavit saying that, you don't have your ballot.
Right.
So it's always just better just to bring it in, and then you can fill it out there and drop it into, because that's what I like to do. I get my ballots mailed to me, and then I go up there and feed them through the tabulator. I'm a big fan of that.
And this election, you could have 2 different options, because the Career Center ballot goes into the tabulator. But the
Yes.
city ballot, because it's just 2 yes/no questions, they're just going to be dropped into a ballot box. And then at the end of the night, they'll be hand counted. So we're saving
those-
money that way.
And those will be tallied that night, whereas
Yes.
the Career Center, they will not be tallied that night.
Right.
Somebody wrote, I walk up, tradition for me. I think that's Connie. Hey, Connie. Yeah, same here. I enjoy walking up and doing that. How about you, Liam? Young voter.
Yeah, I love going to the polls. So I was going to ask you, are you a first thing in the morning right when the polls open, or do you wander your way there?
So I usually put my ballot in probably around, 2, 3 o'clock? But when Carol was running...
Whenever you bring your mothers up.
Whenever I bring my mother's up. That is true. I harvest ballots.
You just collect them all, and you're like, here you go.
It's usually just his and his mother's.
Yes, I only harvest my mom's ballot. But so in the past, last couple elections, I haven't because I've been on the ballot. But in the past, I have gone up there at about 7,
Yep.
and I stayed until about 8, 9 o'clock
At night.
with Carol.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would show up at 6:30. I didn't really show up much earlier than that. That's Michael Dragon-ass time. There's
Much
not-
appreciated.
Yeah.
He'd be there. He'd be the last one out with me. So, yeah. Much appreciated.
We had so much fun. I'm just going to say I loved it, and I miss those times. So, but I'm going to have to create that relationship with Cheryl now.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll see. But so anyway, just as a side note, because Carol's also the chair of the BCA.
Yep.
I will be there on the 4th, so if I don't make it there on the pre-meeting, just note that I'll be there on
Which
the 4th.
should be next Thursday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I think I have something up in Burlington, so I may not be able to go. But just so you know, for reference. So, Article 1.
Yep.
Vote. Carol can't say vote yes, but I'm going to say vote yes because I like TIFs. All right. So what's Article 2?
Article 2 is $3.3 million bond to retrofit the new Public Works campus. The city has, if anybody has ever driven down Burnham Street to see the old public or the current Public Works garage space, it is a travesty. It is ancient buildings with lots of holes in the walls. They had a tremendous amount of flood damage in 23. The building isn't big enough for us to house all of the city highway equipment, and we're talking millions of dollars of equipment that are, some of which is outside.
We're showing some of the.
Yeah.
It's pretty tough, folks.
Yeah.
That's a pretty bad building.
And, what equipment is able to be stored inside is in danger because there's no sprinklers. So it's
a double whammy.
and this is, one of the things that somebody at the council meeting said a couple weeks ago is that the need for a new Public Works garage is a generational need. It's been decades that this need has happened. And the city started about a year and a half ago we engaged a consultant to search high and low around the city for appropriate locations to build a new garage. Barre City is really small. We're only 4 square miles, and we're predominantly built up. And it was determined that we needed 5 to 6 acres to be able to build a good, comprehensive Public Works campus. And we couldn't find any property that met the needs. And then, even if we could have found property, we would have had to buy it. The city didn't own a piece that big. We'd have to buy it, and then we'd have to build. And the cost to build what we needed was going to be something in the neighborhood of $30 million. And, the council realized that's just not a possibility.
Not possible.
So we started, everybody started looking and trying to think outside the box a bit and take into consideration the fact that we are small, which means that our neighboring communities are really close to our downtown. And so the council found what used to be the Bond Warehouse up on Morrison Road, just up off of Prospect Street. It's now O'Reilly Warehouse. You're going to show it to
We're
everybody.
showing folks right
There
now.
you go. There it is. And so the city bought it, and is now in the process of, and it's sprinklered. That's one of the nice things. And we've worked with designers to look at what needs to be retrofitted. It's a warehouse right now. It needs to be built out with, garage bays and storage. There needs to be storage for sand and for salt and various and sundry things like that. So the $3.3 million bond that's on the ballot would do all that retrofitting that needs to be done. And so between what we paid for the building and the $3.3 million bond, we would end up with a state-of-the-art public works campus for just a little over $6 million, as opposed to what we were looking at that was going to be $30 million. So it really is a bargain to end up with something that's that state-of-the-art. And yeah, it's slightly, I mean, you can stand in the driveway and see the Barre City, Barrytown line. It is actually located in Barrytown, but it is, if you think about how big some of the other communities are, think about where Barrytown has their DPW garage and how far it is to the farthest corner of the town. This is a mile up the hill, mile and a half up the hill from City Hall. So it's very close.
Out of the floodplain, which is really good.
Which is definitely good.
It is unfortunate that we'll be paying taxes.
Yep.
But that's, it's going to be probably cheaper than the rent but the heat that we pay.
Yeah, and right now what we're paying for heat with that, we're going to see savings in heating oil. We're going to see savings in insurance because this building is sprinklered, which will make it less expensive to insure. So there are going to be savings on the other side. And then, of course, maintenance, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
So again, I can't tell you how to vote, but I can encourage you to vote on November 4th. And that one's Article 2. So, oh, and because we had talked earlier about how the TIF bond would get paid for out of increment, I do want to just say,
yes,
with regards to the Public Works garage, that facility is split between the Highway Department, which is about 50% of the use of the building, and then the Water Department and the Sewer Department split the other 50% approximately. So the general fund property taxes would cover half of the bond costs, and then the Water Department, the water fees, and the sewer fees would cover the other 50%. So
Nice.
we're estimating that the impact on a $300,000 home, the impact is less than $8 a month. So
On a $300,000, which we don't have very many $300,000.
not at the moment.
Don't say that.
Well, and of course
But since you went down that route,
we're in the middle of a reassessment right now, reappraisal, citywide, and that'll come out next year. But the way the math works is as assessments go up, tax rates go down. So that $8 figure will be about the same. A property that's $300,000 now and pays $8 more for this bond, if that property goes to, $500,000, it'll still pay the $8 because of the way the math works.
and that's an important. I know that a lot of people are really concerned about, you're going to assess my house at $300,000. The amount of money that the municipality is collecting doesn't change.
Nope.
So it's not a situation where, the property goes up 300 and then you're doubling your tax, and that's not
Right.
For the most part. That shouldn't happen. Granted, if you live in a house that was assessed at $50,000 and you've done $250,000 worth of improvements on it, your taxes are probably going to go up. I'm just saying, probably going to go up. But for the most part, it's the same amount of money coming out of the same well, it's coming out of the same properties.
I mean,
So-
the city has a limit as to how much money it can collect in taxes, and that limit is set by the voters
Yep.
when they approve the budget at the May annual meeting. So it's all in the hands of the voters.
Yep. So just for folks to know, and that, when does that happen again?
The
When will that-
the reappraisal?
Yeah.
It'll roll out next April, April 26th. So it'll be for next year's grand list and tax bills. And there will be a lot of public information. There will be meetings, there will be handouts, there will be lots of explanation about how things happen, what the average increase is. You can sort of compare your property to the average increase. That'll give you an idea of what the impact is going to be. And then there will be opportunities for anybody who wants to have a more in-depth conversation with the company that's doing the reappraisals. You can schedule a meeting to come in and they'll talk with you about why the numbers are what they are. So yeah, there will be a lot of community outreach with regards to that. We haven't had a full citywide reappraisal since '02.
But that's because our CLAs have been within.
Yeah, but
You
it's
know,
still
not crazy.
All you got to do is look at what properties are selling for
Yeah.
to know that there's an inequity
Right.
between what they're assessed at and what they're selling for. And the intention is to just sort of even the playing field. So
Yeah, that needs to be dealt with on a state level.
I know
I
a
wonder
guy.
who could do that.
Right.
You know a guy?
We know a guy. Right here on the
It
beat.
does need to be dealt. It does need to be dealt with on a state level because the CLA stuff it's cuckoo cuckoo.
I will say though that I have
Wait, is it CLA? Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and the coefficient of
Thank you.
dispersion. Coefficient, the COD, I can't remember what the D stands for, but I do have some concerns about some kind of a statewide grand list or statewide system, because right now it's our local boards of civil authority that hear appeals. So it's our neighbors who know the communities
Yeah.
very well that hear the appeals and act on them. So it's just I think that's something we wouldn't want to lose
Yeah.
if we went to some kind of a state system. But education taxes is a perfect example of needing to come up with some kind of overarching way to have, again, that term equity, to have some kind of equity across the board. But I do also like having some local control.
Yeah, regarding that, not statewide, certainly I think that would be problematic, but, countywide, maybe if we tapped into, more county government, it might be a little bit easier.
Well, and particularly if school districts are going to move in that kind of a direction, if we're going to have larger, more regional school districts, then obviously having some kind of reciprocity across the district just makes sense.
No, that's 100% accurate. I mean, it'll be interesting. Have you been following that?
God, no.
Any thoughts? Any interest in opining on what you think should happen? I'm sorry, you're not here for that.
No, but it's I could wax rhapsodic with some kind of uneducated opinion and probably
You're on Barre Beat. I have uneducated opinions all the time. Right, Liam?
Right, that's what we're known for. Uneducated opinions.
So until I educate myself, it's probably better that I, keep my opinions to myself.
Well, that was dove stepping. Is that the term? Is it dove stepping?
I don't know.
I don't know. You walk that fine line quite well, Carol.
I try.
So regarding the Public Works building, one of the things is that once we move out, the municipality moves out, we'll be able to sell that property.
The city is looking to keep a small portion of the property because some of our equipment, it'll make sense, the skid steers, the sidewalk plows, we're not going to be driving them up and down Prospect Street.
Right.
So having some kind of small storage area in that neck of the woods makes perfect sense. But then the bulk of the property would likely be put up for sale. Yeah.
So those would probably be stored in the elevated section.
Probably, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice. And we probably have a buyer, I'm sure.
We've had some people express an interest. Yeah.
Express an interest is a good thing.
So here's a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
The new Public Works building, you said it's in Barre Town. Does Barre Town have any impact?
In what regards?
Well, each town pays, taxes. Does Barre Town take any of those on, or?
So
No, we'll actually pick up we'll have to continue to pay the taxes
Gotcha.
on the property. But there has been some initial conversations around possible partnerships, maybe working with Barre Town for some of their equipment to be housed there in exchange for,
Gotcha.
waiving some taxes or some kind of, there have been some conversations around, ways that we could work together as, neighboring municipalities, so.
that'd be good. Can you, since you probably know, why are we taxed if we're a municipality and we're a nonprofit? How does that work?
Well,
And how do you annex property?
we're not a nonprofit. We're not a 501c3.
Okay.
There are restrictions in statute as to what properties, if a municipality owns property in a neighboring town, what things might or might not be taxable. We own property. We own other properties in Barre Town. We own properties. We used to own property in East Montpelier. We own property in Orange, where the reservoir is, and we pay taxes on all of that. There isn't any property that we own in another town that is not taxed. The only one that has the potential someday to be tax exempt is the Barre Town portion of the land that's associated with Hope Cemetery. If we ever expand the cemetery into that area and stop renting space, because we have a mobile home on that area that we collect rent for, which makes it a commercial property. So that's one of the reasons. But cemetery property owned in another community that is used for cemetery purposes is tax exempt. So if and when Barre City expands Hope into that section, then it would become tax exempt. So, yeah. But we talked with the Department of Taxes Property Valuation and Review Division to make sure that we knew all the bits and pieces associated with owning this warehouse up in Barre Town, to make sure that we knew, yes, it would have to be taxable. And part of it is that just because one municipality buys a property in another municipality, they shouldn't be penalized,
Right.
So
That's true.
that's part of the reasoning too. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's part of the reason that we pay taxes on the property where the reservoir is, including the land under the reservoir, because that's the way the statute says.
The water under
The
we
land.
pay for the land.
The land
under the water.
water.
So
But we also put it all in current use, so we don't pay much for taxes, but we do pay some. So.
Yeah, that's a whole different story. The reservoir. We won't talk about that right now. We'll move on from there. So November 4th, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Yep, up at the Aud.
Up at the auditorium.
Yep.
And then part of that voting is also the Central Vermont Career Center.
Yep.
We did do a little bit of information on that
Last week.
so I don't think we need to touch on that again. However, what I will do is I will drop the links to the Career Center in the chat so that we don't want to talk about chats. Yeah, so you can go in there after you're watching the Barre Beat. After you're done watching Barre Beat, you can go to those websites.
So the interesting thing, of course, with regards to the Career Center is that in addition to Barre City, 17 other towns are voting on the 4th because the Career Center serves, their service area is 18 towns.
Yeah.
So.
And theirs is the one that it's $149 million
Yep.
for a new property or a new facility up in Graniteville,
Yep.
right next to the go-kart, Jeff Blow's go-kart track. Thank you. I don't remember what the name of
I don't either.
the thing is.
We couldn't remember last week.
I know, and I should have. Terrible. I'm terrible. So we went like almost an hour. It's 8:54 right now. So I know that just past your bedtime, but one of the things that Liam's like hot on is this shutdown, right?
Day 20.
Day 20. Liam's all over the shutdown. He's like
I got it.
on it. He is on it.
I got it.
Have we made any decisions yet?
No.
No.
They voted
Any-
again, but I will say they voted again, and only 2 of the 3 Democrats that had voted for the 24-page clean continuing resolution, only 2 of the 3 had voted for it. John Fetterman did not vote
Did not vote
at all.
at all. He's probably.
So
I
it was
mean,
50-43. So
I
it
wonder
looked
if
like
he-
it had tilted a little bit tonight.
My guess is I mean he's been for it.
Right,
the
but it was
passing.
still the same 3 we've been talking about. Masto, what's her name, and then Fetterman.
Fetterman. I only know Fetterman.
Well, I can give you the 2-minute
Yes,
version
please do
of local impact. Okay. I live in a small condo complex, and in July of 2023, when we had the heavy rains and flooding, we experienced land collapse, where a big chunk of my backyard ended up slipping down the hill towards the jail branch, and we lost the use of a bunch of our driveway area, and so and that was almost 2.5 years ago. Because we're a condo complex and that land is considered owned by the homeowners association, we didn't qualify for any FEMA funding for the repairs that needed to be made because we're considered a business. So the only thing we could qualify for was a small business administration loan of $677,000. And it's taken 2 years to get all the paperwork done on the loan. We started the construction work on the project right after the 4th of July this year, and we're nearing the end of the project. I'm treasurer for the association, so I'm the one who's been working back and forth with the SBA to get the requisition the monies from the loan. They're not answering phone calls at the moment.
No, I'm pretty sure they're all sitting at home right now.
And I've got a $140,000 invoice from our contractor that needs to be paid. We don't have $140,000. You know, the contractor's done the work. We've, you know, it's nobody's fault on this end, but we're in a really tight position where, you know, we need to be able to pay the contractor for the work they've done, and, you know, we can't access the funds at the moment.
So the important thing to know is that the shutdown has actual impacts on individuals. And I know that, I mean, most of us don't feel it in our daily life. Like, I haven't experienced any impact.
Yep.
You're technically the first person that I've talked to that has felt an actual impact on the personal level. And it's important to know that information because there are impacts. Sometimes they take a little bit longer to exfoliate. But they're going to start exfoliating very shortly. That's probably a terrible word to use, but
It's
sounds
really
icky.
good use of that word, actually.
It makes me itch.
Right.
like I've got a sunburn and it's peeling.
But it's very true, and it's really good to know that there are real impacts
Yeah.
to these decisions, and as part of the municipality side of things, that's where I assume that a lot of the impacts are felt, right? Because with FEMA and the community block grants, now is that affected?
I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know. I do know because some of the work that I'm doing for the town of Berlin right now is trying to finalize their 2023 FEMA stuff. And because that money has already been allocated to the state, and the state has it to give
Okay.
to the town, we're able to keep moving forward with that. So, you know, if it was a new disaster and we needed FEMA contact and FEMA assistance, there might be problems. But this, because it's already been allocated, you know, we're not seeing any problems. So.
Well,
But and with the SBA loan, the money's been allocated. The problem is, the disconnect is that there's nobody there to take my call to then release funds. The funds are available, but there's nobody there to release the funds. So.
well, thank you for telling us that. All right. Well, I think that's it. We went a little long tonight for Carol, way past her bedtime. We do appreciate her coming in because we wanted to have her come in and talk about the bond votes.
And I encourage people to go to the website. There's information on the Barre City, that's barrecity.org. There's information on the website about the two bond questions, about the projects. There's going to be an FAQ, frequently asked questions, that'll go up.
Can you tell me do you know where it
It
is?
should be on the banner. It should be. It should be. There it is. At the very. Is that it? At the very top on the.
November bond vote.
on the right.
I'm an idiot.
That's okay.
I am going to drop that link in there for folks
So,
to.
and we will be
And Connie
putting-
says thank you.
We'll be putting more information up over the next week, 10 days. And Thursday, this coming Thursday, we're doing a kind of lunch webinar from 12 to 1 on Zoom, and the information is all on the website there, how you can register, where the city manager and I will give presentations and answer people's questions, so we're
And
looking
there are
for...
designs here for folks to go take a look at. I feel terrible. So go to the website, take a look, learn more, make an informed decision on the 2 bond votes for the municipality and on the bond vote for the Career Center. Yeah, so thank you, Carol. It's always a pleasure.
Michael. Thank you, Liam.
Thank you.
And as always, you are always welcome to come. We always want you here. If you want to make it a guaranteed thing every week, that would be amazing.
That might be a bit much.
A bit much? A bit much? Well, I just found out how we can call people. Can I start calling you?
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Will it show up on my phone as Barre Beat, and so I can just...
Well, that wasn't very nice, Carol.
I could choose whether I wanted to answer it or not.
Do I want to be involved? A lot of people say no. But anyway, no, thank you for coming on and letting
Thank
the
you.
folks know, what's going on. And yeah, so
Thank you.
we'll see everybody here next week. We'll be here and want to say thank you for watching the Barre Beat podcast. And we will see you next week. And I think Raylene has a show tomorrow at 12. And then Thursday, we might be doing another show. So I don't know. Have a great day.